Straight up. Back to your Way Happy Bible Study. We are in Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 8. The wise in heart will receive commandments. Are you wise in heart? If you're born with the temple inside you, you are covered under the sacrifice, and you have the potential to be wise in heart if you learn. The wise in heart will receive commandments. So if you're born with the temple inside you, you will receive the commandments of God when he draws you to the Son. But a prating fool shall fall. What's prating? Prating is talking foolishly or tediously about something. Someone who just talks crazy stuff, foolish things. In verse 9, he that walketh uprightly, that means that you make every effort to do right, walketh surely. But he that perverteth his ways shall be known. You know if you're doing wrong. But this is showing that everybody's going to know. Everyone around you is going to notice that you are doing wrong. And your ways, it says, he that perverteth his ways shall be known. You're not going to get away with it. It's not going to be a secret. Other people are going to know. In verse 10, he that winketh with the eye causeth sorrow. They are kidding. It's kind of like I'm kidding kind of thing, or sharing a truth with someone that they're keeping you out of. He that winketh with the eye causes sorrow. There's not, they will say that they're just kidding, but what they do is identify themselves as a liar. But a prating fool shall fall. Remember, prating fool is talking foolishly or tediously about something. In verse 11, the mouth of a righteous man is a well of life. Remember, Abraham believed God and it was counted unto him for righteousness. So the mouth of a righteous man, or a man who believes God, is a well of life. What he says is going to encourage you and lift you and teach you and admonish you and lift you into where you can learn. But violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. In verse 12, hatred stirreth up strifes. If you allow a hatred inside you to fester, it will hurt you more than it will hurt anyone else. Hatred stirreth up strifes. And the word tells us that the servant of God, does not strive, but is patient, apt to teach. Hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins. Love covereth a multitude of sins, in another scripture that I'm aware of. Let me give it to you. Let me give you the other scripture. Love covers a multitude of sins. Let me get that scripture for you. Now, hopefully you're using your concordance. I use abibleconcordance.com. It's free. And I put in the word multitude. And let's see if I can find it quickly. I think it's down here. Yes, 1 Peter 4:8. And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves. For charity shall cover the multitude of sins. Did you know that? Give of yourself, of your time, your efforts, your talents, your resources, your money, your abilities. Everything that God has given you as resources to help others. And you'll know when you see someone who's in need, maybe you just happen to have exactly what they need. And if you give it to them, he who lendeth to the Lord, he will be repaid when we get there. In verse 13, in the lips of him that hath understanding, wisdom is found. But a rod is for the back of him that is void of understanding. Who is it that is void of understanding? Someone who is not called and drawn to the Son by the Father. That is going to be the wicked that are void of understanding. It's not that they just haven't acquired it yet. It's that they are incapable of acquiring it. In verse 14, wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. They just beg for it. They just let their mouths run without having any restrictions or any kind of regulation to them. In verse 15, the rich man's wealth is his strong city. See, the wealth of the rich is their power. They're in this world, money rules. So if you're rich, you can have anything. You can have anything you want. Money solves everything, doesn't it? Not always everything, but pretty much everything for those that rely upon it. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. That's his power. And if you've got money, you can get anybody to do anything you want them to do. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. The poor in poverty have no power to lift themselves out without God's assistance. In verse 16, the labor of the righteous, remember the righteous, those are who believe God. The labor of those who believe God tendeth to life. You want to help people endure. The fruit of the wicked to sin. They can't sleep. Did you know that the wicked aren't allowed to sleep unless they cause someone to fall? Let me give you that scripture too. They are not allowed to sleep unless they cause someone to fall. And that's really, that's terrible. You know, and in the second half, as people receive the mark, those who receive the mark will not ever, they have no rest day nor night. They are unable to sleep ever again after taking the mark. And they're tired. They want to sleep, but they are not permitted to sleep. They do not get to sleep. Let me get that for you. Sleep. I'm looking up the word sleep. I'm going over here to Proverbs 4:16. For they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. The last thing you want to do is take the mark. And no child of God will take the mark. That's impossible. They will not take it. If they cannot stand against it, they'll die before they face that situation. Because God will not allow even a single one of his own children to perish. Those who are born with the temple inside them, their names are written in heaven from the foundation of the world, and they will not take the mark. Not a single one will be lost. Jesus says he leaves the 99 to come after the one, and you are not going to slip through his fingers. Most people are children of God. They're not few. We are not few and far between like the world would have us to believe. Remember, this is a wheat field with a few tares scattered in. This is not a tare field with a few wheat scattered in. Okay? This is God's wheat field. The world is. And it tells us in Matthew 13:38. Let me snag that one for you real quick. Matthew. It'd be really good if you could get to where you could navigate your Bible and you know where to find things. And you can just go all over it. Matthew 13:38. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. The tares are not those that didn't ask Jesus to save them. The tares are born as tares. They are the children of the wicked one. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. The tares are the children of the wicked one. The fault in religion is that you can decide which one you are. And that's not what the word says. The word doesn't say anywhere that you can decide to be something other than you are born to be. Okay, let's go over here. Let's get back into it. In verse 17, he is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that he that refuseth reproof erreth. You know what reproof is? It's instruction. But let me see what. Okay, it's criticism for a fault or a rebuke. Okay? If you refuse to be instructed, if you refuse to be criticized when you do wrong or rebuked, you are never going to learn. You want to be instructed. You want to be corrected. You even want to be chastised when you're wrong so you can be corrected. And if you are chastised, it means you belong to the Lord, because he doesn't chastise those that don't belong to him. Okay? So if you refuse reproof, refuse instruction, and refuse criticism when you do wrong, then you are in error, according to the scripture. In verse 18, he that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. The fool is not a child of God. They hide hatred with lying lips. They hate you, but their words and the way they speak to you, they don't want you to know that they hate you. Because if you know, then you're on alert. You are alerted. Okay? He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander, speaking evil about others, is a fool. You don't want to do that. In verse 19, in the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. Have you ever heard the term, Even a fool is considered wise if he keeps his mouth shut. You won't know someone is a fool unless they open their mouth. He that refraineth his lips is wise. It's better to listen than to speak. In verse 20, the tongue of the just is as choice silver. It's beneficial to you. Choice silver is beneficial to you. It is worth something to you. It is valuable to you. So the tongue of the just, those who love God, as they encourage you and uplift you and teach you, you are benefiting from it as surely as though they put choice silver in your hand. It is benefiting you. What they say. The heart of the wicked is little worth. Did you know that? The heart of the wicked is little worth. They are not, how do I want to say this? The heart of the wicked is little worth. Why is the heart of the wicked of little worth? Because they're children of evil. They are not misguided children of God. The wicked are their own species, just like the children of God are their own species. Sheep, the children of God are referred to as wheat and sheep. The children of evil are referred to as tares and goats. Anybody knows that wheat and tares are not the same species. Sheep and goats are not the same species. An obedient goat is not a sheep. And a disobedient sheep is not a goat. Okay? Now, one of the misconceptions is that we decide whether we're a child of God or not. No, you don't decide whether you're a child of God or not any more than you decided who your parents would be when you were born. That is not within, you don't choose who you are. You figure out who you are, okay? You figure out who you were born to be. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom. They don't want wisdom. It means for want of wisdom is for lack of wisdom. In verse 22, the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. The blessing of the Lord makes you rich, and it's not always a money kind of thing. It usually isn't. If anybody asked me, are you rich? Yes, I'm rich in blessings, but I'm dirt poor as far as money is concerned. We live paycheck to paycheck, just like everybody else. And my husband's been out of work. He just started a new job today, thank God, because it was kind of getting scary there. But it's what this is saying, the blessing of the Lord, his favor and his blessing, it makes you rich, but it makes you, if God blesses you, he doesn't heap a lot of money on you. He has to curse you to do that, okay? Because the more money you have, the less you're going to think about God. And you need to think about him all the time to keep your perspective. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich. You're rich in other ways, rich in peace, happiness, health, family, wisdom, in a lot of things that money just can't buy. Like a good night's sleep. Money cannot buy you a good night's sleep, but the blessing of the Lord can. And what is that worth? Billionaires would give all they have for a good night's sleep, but it eludes them. And he addeth no sorrow with it. His blessing doesn't come with sorrows. Sorrows are the result of being in a wicked world. So we have sorrow anyway, but the sorrow doesn't come as part of God's blessing, is what this is saying. In verse 23, it is as sport to a fool to do mischief. The fool are those who are born wicked. Okay? It's a sport to them. It is as sport to a fool to do mischief. It's fun to the wicked to do bad things to people, to do mischief, to hurt others, to cause trouble. They think it's fun. It's a sport. But a man of understanding hath wisdom. A man of understanding that has wisdom knows that that is not profitable. It's not funny. It's not fun. It's mean. It's destructive. And it is self-defeating to those who practice. In verse 24, the fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him. The fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, the wicked. But the desire of the righteous shall be granted. The word says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Glory to God. In verse 25, as the whirlwind passeth, so is the wicked no more. But the righteous is as an everlasting foundation. The wicked pass away, the righteous endure forever. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this. Straight up.